I was on an American Odyssey, a spiritual search for hobo America. Remember the American hobo? I'm a hobo. I drank muscatel with them. I rode freight trains with them out of the Watsonville Freight Yards. You know what that is? That's part of the old Union Southern Pacific Line, runs straight through San Francisco. You ever hear Hank Williams sing on the Pan American Line? Huh? You ever hear that? No? We ought to listen sometime. That's if you want to learn something about hobos. She's the beauty of the Southland. Listen to that whistle scream. She's the Pan American on the way to New Orleans. Something in Hank Williams' voice gives you that lonesome hobo feeling, and running past the pitch darkness of the American night at midnight, all rolled up in a cotton blanket on a hard wooden floor of a boxcar. Our ordinary people sleep safe under the winter quilts. We treated the hobos as badly as the Indians. They traveled by boxcar from town to town, seeking out eerie Sunday morning Main Street America, an America that they knew would never belong to them. And along their hobo journey, like great Zen masters, they left little coded signs scratched on fence posts for other hobos to follow. Signs that would tell you who would keep a piece of warm, windowsill cooled apple pie for cleaning up the leaves of a yard. Signs that would tell you about, a town where the police were particularly tough. You see, that's what I tried to do in my books. See? I tried to leave literary signs as evidence that the real, honest-to-God, authentic America that I knew about, the America that I read about in the Sunday comics, really existed, because I saw it. I first knew where I was headed when a nun from St. Louis de France parochial school held up a geography book and showed me the wide open spaces of America in the 1930s. She showed me pictures of long, black-topped, two-lane highways that stretched out past farms, past corn silos, and up above big white puffy clouds streaked across the clear blue of the sky. And then she told me about these cities that lay behind the farms, cities with names like Chicago, New York, cities where in the children's readers all the men wore wide-brimmed Adam hats, and whenever an airplane flew up above, all the kids would come out and say, ah. And I knew I wanted to go there. Years later, when I went on the road, I saw whores and junkies and jazzmen, pimps who never slept. I saw drunks and old Skid Row guys who made a living by washing dishes at summer resorts. So they find out about these jobs in index cards tacked up on 42nd Street employment agencies, and then they go up one flight, get a one-way ticket on a short line bus. I saw generations of innocent-looking schoolgirls with names like Peggy Sue. I saw them on their front porch on prom night in their pretty pink dresses, waiting for some like Tab Hunter to come by while I streaked by in the back of an old Hudson, smoking pot. Oh, it was all America. It was an America of Sinclair Lewis, Sherwood Anderson, John Steinbeck, Thomas Wolfe, a tale of evil and innocence, and I was witnessing it. Of course, this is a time before we started assassinating presidents in this country. It's not there anymore. Anyway, everywhere I go, people want to talk about a certain book of mine. I wrote a lot of books, but it's always on the road they want to talk about. Everybody wants to talk about Neil. They say, Neil this, Neil that, Neil that. Anyway, Neil came by Northport a couple weeks ago. I tried to talk to him, but he wasn't listening. He pretended he was listening, but I don't think Neil listens to anybody anymore. I mean, he was driving this long, crazy-colored bus, and when he tried to pull it in front of Gunther's bar, I thought everybody was going to come out of the bar and attack him. I mean, the goddamn thing was backfiring like crazy, and he was blaring this music out of these loudspeakers from some guy named Jerry Gar, help me out here. Jerry Garcia, that's right, Jerry Garcia. Yeah. Anyway, he said he was going to take me to this party to meet this writer named Ken Kesey. It's the guy that wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's a good book. So anyway, he wanted to take me to Park Avenue to meet Kesey and a bunch of these guys, these assholes, who call themselves the Merry Pranksters. He said they've been driving this bus all the way across America, and Kesey actually named the bus Further. Further. So for the long ride into the bus, and for a long ride into the city, I smoked some weed with Neil, we talked about the old days when he was like a brother to me. And when we got to the party, I could hardly see because they had these floodlights set up. And I wanted a beer, but there was none, you know. Everybody was taking this LSD stuff. So while I was waiting for Pete Kesey to show up, I had to wait. I had to stand in front of these merry pranksters who will get this, okay? Sitting their asses, right, on an American flag. So at some point I leaned over to one of them and I said, "Excuse me, but would you mind taking your ass off that flag and handing it to me?" So he says, "Hand it to you, man? Why? You gonna wear it?" "No, I'm going to fold it. I'm going to fold it the way an American flag should be folded, the way an asshole like you could never understand." And then I leaned forward, you know what I mean? And I said, "You know why? Because you got shit for brains." And then Neil comes over, right? And he says, "Oh, Jack, come on, cool down." And I look around this party, right? And I see these kids, taking this LSD, right? Reading the works of Chairman Mao Zedong. And I think to myself, this is what they're saying I did with my books? This is what I did to America? Bullshit, I didn't do this. Anyway, a lot of people ask me why I never did rewrites. Never did a rewrite. I don't believe in rewrites. One of the reasons I don't believe in rewrites is if you understand Buddhism, you understand that there's spiritual things happening here in the world, folks. And that somebody else is guiding your hand. When I'm in front of that typewriter, somebody's guiding my hand. I had a brother. My brother died when he was very young. Gerard used to take me to the Stations of the Cross behind the Franco-American orphanage on Pawtucket Street in Lowell. And behind this gloomy old orphanage, there was a grotto with the Virgin Mary, and along the path that led to the grotto were the Stations of the Cross. Each station was covered in a white wooden box and a glass door. And the holy saints inside had their lips painted the color of blood. Gerard would take me by the hand and lead me from station to station. And as he did, we would stop. And he'd say this prayer. I wish I could remember what he said, but I'm too young. I was 4 years old when he died. He was only 9. I think of you every day, Gerard. Montov Tilu. You will always be my poor little wolf. Why did God take you instead of me? Was it something I did to cause you to go away? I looked for you everywhere I went. Sometimes I thought I saw you on the road. One night, I swear you were with me in the silence of a freight car. I could hear your soft whispered prayers as the night flew by outside. Pray for me, Paul Tulu. After he died, some of the older French-Canadian women in Lowell said that he was praying for world peace. Maybe it was. The nuns from the St. Louis de France parochial school said that Gerard was a saint, and that he was praying for something that could only be understood by him. They actually held a vigil at his deathbed. When my father asked them to explain themselves more clearly to him, they sent the head nun to our house on Bullion Street. I remember them in the front door talking to my father. I remember the head nun saying, "Mr. Kerouac, your son was a saint. Is that not enough to tell you?" Years later, on a pitch black night, when freezing rain was falling on the grotto where he used to take me, on a night when all of Moody Street was dark, and rivers of slush and rain were sluicing up over the sidewalks, I cut through it on my way home. And when I stopped to look in the darkness behind me, I saw Dr. Sachs for the first time. He was watching me from behind those Stations of the Cross. Sometimes the drinks go down good with memories, and sometimes they don't, you know. Anyway, I want to thank you all for having this party on my behalf. It was a nice trip to North Park. Good to see you for yourself. And, you know, go moan, go groan alone, huh? You know, now if you're from Lowell, how many people here from Lowell? How many people here from Lowell? Lowell, give out a howl for Lowell, huh? A howl, right? Everybody's howling in Lowell these days, right? All right. Listen, if you're from Lowell, you're mad, right? Right? You're my kind of mad, right? You're mad because the only people for me are the mad ones, right? Mad to talk, mad to live, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time. The ones who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but burn, burn, burn like fabulous yellow Roman candles, exploding like spiders across the stars. And then the blue center like pops, and everybody goes. What's everybody go? Everybody goes, ah! Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.